The highest paying babysitting job of my life almost became my last night alive. If only I had ignored that phone call. I was a struggling college student, and at the time, I desperately needed money. One evening, my phone rang from an unknown number. When I answered, a calm female voice asked if I was available to babysit for one night. The pay was surprisingly high. Without thinking twice, I accepted. The woman told me to meet a driver at a bus stop on the edge of town that same evening. When I arrived, a black car was already waiting for me. A man standing beside it waved me over and told me he had been sent to pick me up. As I got into the car, I noticed a man in his early 40s and a woman in her late 30s sitting in the back seat. Both of them smiled warmly. "We're Anita's parents," the woman said. "She's 6 years old. We have an important trip tonight, so you'll be watching her until tomorrow." Everything seemed normal, maybe a little rushed, but normal. Before the car stopped, the woman handed me a folded piece of paper. "Please follow these rules exactly," she said. Her smile disappeared. "For Anita's safety and yours." Something about the way she said it sent a chill through me. A few minutes later, I arrived at the house. It was large, old, and completely isolated at the end of a quiet street. As soon as the car drove away, I remembered the paper. Standing on the front porch, I unfolded it. The rules were strange, very strange. Rule 1. Put Anita to bed at exactly 8:30 p.m. Read one story, then leave. Rule 2. Do not go upstairs after 10 p.m. for any reason. Rule 3. If Anita asks for water, only use the blue cup in the kitchen cabinet, never the red one. Rule 4. If the house phone rings after midnight, do not answer it. Rule 5. Keep all hallway lights on throughout the night. Rule 6. If you hear knocking from inside Anita's closet, do not open it. Pretend you didn't hear it. Rule 7. At exactly 3 a.m., check on Anita through the door crack. Do not enter her room. I almost laughed. I assumed the parents were overly protective. I had no idea those rules were the only thing keeping me alive. At exactly 8:30 p.m., I tucked Anita into bed. She was unusually quiet, pale. She barely spoke. I read her a story and left the room. The night was peaceful at first. Then, things started to change. At 10:30 p.m., while watching television downstairs, I heard slow footsteps upstairs. My heart immediately started racing. I remembered Rule 2, so I stayed where I was, even though every part of me wanted to go and check. At 12:17 a.m., the house phone rang. The sound nearly made me jump off the couch. I stared at it. Rule 4. Do not answer. The phone rang 7 times, then suddenly stopped. The silence afterward felt worse than the ringing. At around 2:40 a.m., I heard it. Knock, knock, knock. The sound was coming from upstairs, from inside Anita's closet. Slow, deliberate, as if something trapped inside wanted to be let out. My hands began to shake. I turned the television volume higher and forced myself to ignore it, just like the rules said. Then, 3 a.m. arrived. I knew I had to check on Anita. Carefully, I walked upstairs. Every step felt heavier than the last. When I reached her bedroom, I slowly pushed the door open, just enough to peek through the crack. Anita was lying in bed, facing the wall, completely still. I whispered her name. No response. I was about to close the door when I heard a small voice behind me. "That's not me." Every hair on my body stood up. Slowly, I turned around. My blood ran cold. Anita was standing behind me in the hallway, smiling. I couldn't breathe. You broke rule 2, she said softly. You came upstairs after 10. Then she tilted her head. And earlier, when I asked for water, you used the red cup. A terrible realization hit me. The thing standing in front of me wasn't Anita, and whatever was lying in that bed wasn't her either. The smile on his face grew wider. Then, the hallway lights flickered and went out. The knocking from the closet became violent. The house phone started ringing again, this time louder than before. I ran. I didn't care about the rules anymore. I grabbed my bag and rushed downstairs. I tried the front door, locked. I tried the back door, locked. Even the windows wouldn't open. Panic took over. Then I remembered something. The mother's final words before leaving. If anything goes wrong, there's a key under the red cup in the kitchen, but you'll only need it if you follow the rules. I sprinted into the kitchen. The phone was still ringing. The knocking echoed throughout the house. My hands trembled as I grabbed the red cup. There it was, a key. I snatched it and ran to the back door. Behind me, I heard footsteps moving through the darkness, getting closer, closer. The lock finally clicked. I threw the door open and ran. I didn't stop until I reached a 24-hour gas station several blocks away. That was where I called the police. The next morning, officers searched the house. What they found made no sense. The house was empty. No parents, no child, no sign that anyone had lived there for years. According to property records, the building had been abandoned for 3 years. In Anita's room, there was only one thing on the bed, an old doll. Neighbors later told police that a little girl named Anita once lived there. Then one day, she disappeared. Nobody ever saw her again. I survived that night, but I never babysat another child. And sometimes at exactly 12:17 a.m., my phone still rings. When I answer, all I hear is knocking.